box.
What?
In auto systems, DAG is nothing but a box.
It is a, like a exploded folder, right? Basically,
It's a
whatever
box.
Python file comes in this DAG folder, it will be understood as a scheduler one, right? Okay. Generally, we put the scheduler files. Generally, we keep it
Eh,
scheduler
In
file.
the auto systems, so we write a box. Within that, we write some jobs within that, right? So it's similar to a box. If you write a box, it
Yeah,
can
yeah.
be.
But logs is different thing. Logs is not exploded, right? Logs is something is created during the processing, right? It's creating a log. Okay. So that is a designated folder, right? The dex log folder is there. Okay, here is also log folder is there, but this dex folder is especially we keep it for the Python dex, right? Which okay, if I go to dex folder here, I copy this dex file. So this dex file I have to place it. Okay, so right, whenever you place something in a one particular folder, it is exploded. Okay, because this is that folder. Okay, so that is predefined tags, right? We have to create this tag folder, and whatever like a file I want to explode it, right? I want to execute it like that automatically when my server and scheduler is running. So this file will be executed. So when I show you the code of this one, shell.tag.py. So in this one, what I'm doing is I'm just starting my one default argument, okay, and I'm using a bash operator, so I'm using import bash, okay. So if I'm using this default argument in my DAG variable, so I have created a one DAG variable, and this DAG variable is I'm deciding I'm telling about my DAG ID. So DAG ID is a unique ID across the DAG. So one tag ID is designated for a one particular Python file. Okay. So I'm saying my tag ID is shell tag py one, and this tag ID you will be able to see in your UI. So when you are able to see your tag, so your tag name will be like this tag ID. Okay. So this tag ID, and you are passing default argument. If you want to keep it a schedule interview, so you are just saying okay, and this tag variable you are using in your operator. So any operator is deriving from this tag variable. So suppose I'm going to create a one task T1 bash operator type, and I'm saying task ID because just like a tag ID is there, same like a task ID is there. So task ID is a part of tag. So multiple tasks are the part of the tag. So when your tag means a one DAG has multiple tasks, and these tasks are nothing but operators, different types of operator, and these tasks will be running sequentially one by one. Okay, and I'm defining like a one task T1, and I'm telling the command. So right, in the UG also, UG we have the I talked about the action. So action is like a task there. Here is a task T1. Okay, so here we have task like operator type of task, different types of operators having the task, and then this task is designated with the some specific command. Suppose this task is a hive operator, so what will come here? SQL file will come. If it is a Spark operator, what will come here? Spark operator. So this command, this name will not be bash. That will be
So
Spark command. Hmm?
we have a multiple DAGs, or it can be only one DAG and the
No,
within
multiple
that.
DAGs can be there. One DAG and second DAG will be dependent on DAG. So just
Okay.
same like one DAG has multiple tasks, and tasks are dependent to each other. Similar way, one DAG to another DAG also there. Like suppose I say one DAG is doing one type of functionality, and another DAG is doing another type of functionality. Different tasks are doing. And these DAGs are, we can make it interdependent, right? One DAG is completed, then another DAG will perform. Okay, so there is a XCOM is there. XCOM is like we can call from one DAG to another DAG, or sub DAG can be there. Like if I say one DAG has child DAG, so that functionality is called sub DAG. So sub DAG is basically sub DAG. So sub DAG in Airflow. So sub DAG is when we are defining one DAG is having another DAG, that is called the sub DAG.
So why they go for Airflow if there are other uh, automation tools in the market like Control M, Autosys.
Yeah, see, Control M of these are paid, right? Okay, Autosys is paid. I cannot buy it, right? If I want to use for my personal use, or like companies are bearing that, right? If I say, if I want to use my personal, I can't use this Control M and Autosys because these are the ready-made tools. They have inbuilt this customizations is there, like you can create
But
a job,
there will be a
right?
certain limitations, right? It cannot be an enterprise version that it will support end-to-end solutions.
Which one?
Airflow will not be an enterprise
No,
solution, right?
Airflow, big companies are using. See, Airflow is mostly, right, our own scheduling you have to do, right? Suppose you are writing this Python script, right? But in other one, like simply you will create okay, one Control M, you will create a one job, and that job is pointing to the some shell script or some Python file it is calling, or some Python script is calling, Hive script is calling. So you are simply giving the location of that script and it is calling. You are not writing any Python code. But here you are writing Python code, and like if I say like when you are writing a big job, like number of jobs are more, and productivity is more is needed, right? This one, and more maintenance. The maintenance is a more big problem here. Like if any problem comes in the job anywhere, like you have to debug, and this one is a more complex in case of Airflow. But if I say in the Control M and Autosys, they you can easily fix it, right? Like you mostly Airflow, okay, Airflow can have error anywhere, so you have to debug the job, right? Ultimately the problem in the job, right? And if you go in the this Control M and this one, simply you will be checking your script, or you can easily figure it out, right, where the job is getting issue. Generally for the monitoring and everything solution in a one place, so I can say the Control M, this one is good. But suppose one or two type of jobs, less jobs are there, so Airflow is good. But Airflow is more complex, right? Because you have to write everything in the Python, and you should be know the Python, right? Suppose you have to call a one Python function, so you have to use Python operator. If you want to call the bash, it is easy, but you have to write it manually, everything, right? Okay, it is not just you created one job there and assign the script and it is working, right? You have to create your DAG, and DAG you have to place over there, and then you have to configure it. Okay, so Airflow is like mostly companies in the big data, they are using Airflow. And even the see Control M, this is also common for any type of job you can run, okay, with the Control M, right? Any type of action you can call it, right? Like you can have just Control M, and this one is what I seen. This is just you have one specific designated folder you create, and there you can keep it multiple shell script, and then you can schedule your shell script with the Control M. Okay. If the same thing, if you are going to do with the Airflow, so Airflow, what complexity will there? Like you have to define all the one in the one Python file, and then you have to define the dependency. Suppose you want to change the dependency, where you have to do the change? You will go to the Python file, tag file, and then you again change, right? So configuration, like again, you have to you stop the server and the UI, right? You have to stop. So other jobs will be halted or not in case of Airflow. It will be right stopped, right? Everything will be stopped. But in case of Airflow, whatever is running, right? It will not be a problem, right? In case of Control M, if you got a
Can I?
problem in the
So is there any that two Airflow? Let's say I am working on my own Airflow and my downstream is working on their own Airflow. Are they gonna be communicate each other that my jobs are
yeah, so
completed so that
they are working, but they are using the same server, right? Server UI here is the completely depend on the UI and server. There is a separate uh, both each other are there, right? So basically, whenever any job is problem, like entire server is down, right? Correct. So when you want to
oh,
publish it again, you need to restart server, right? But in case of Control M, there is no such dependency is there on the server, right? Whenever you do any change, you can do independently. There is nothing need to, uh, right? So they can use a separate server. That is there, right? Like every project will be using their separate server, right? But what control M is having entire one server which has multiple projects, have multiple jobs, and multiple folders
Okay.
are there. They have their own project folder. Yeah.
So you're saying that Control M is preferred then?
The
Again,
control
it's an
M is
enterprise
for it's a
solution.
paid version, and the thing is, it's
I mean,
a
for companies, it doesn't really matter. I mean, it's part of the cost of the doing business.
so it is giving that feature, right? Like, okay, so maintenance and maintainability, all those
Yeah,
things
because
are
I can
easy,
see
right?
I can see a lot of headache with the airflow. If there's a problem in any of the controllers, you need to trace it. You need to find and fix it, which may be
So
Again,
airflow, like multiple installations can be done. Like whoever is doing, they will be maintain their own airflow instance, right? They can maintain. Okay.
but I think it's good for learning though. But for a company,
See, learning point of view, like suppose you want to do the big data pipelines, right? You can even the entire pipeline you can design in the airflow. Suppose you have a 10 tasks, and those 10 tasks you can perform one after one. You can different types of operators you can use, and you can run your pipeline you can do, and even the UI and everything you can access. So
everybody get access to it, or is it controllable through any sort of permissions that certain people can run, certain people
see,
can
here is
view?
a role-based access that is called security is there. So
Mhm.
RBAC, right? We can we can define that permission, right? User-based permission, but that is mostly used in the company level, right? Generally, they
Mm.
want to give the like we use KNet we use, right, for running any command, right? We use KNet. So similar way, we can have the permission access. We can who can run the job, who can schedule the job, right? So we can have that permission. Okay. So
So it's more like a cron tab replacement.
cron tab, yeah. So cron tab, but cron tab is customizations. You cannot only shell script, right?
Again,
Cron tab is
you have to write your own code to do a customizations, but you can schedule any sort of let's say if I have a dependencies, I can write a shell script, and then I have write a Python script so that I can write a master shell script. Once the shell scripts are, you can call Python scripts. After this done, you can call this. You have to write own customization on there, and it's more like a tag that you have to create, which will be defined in the master shell script, and then which we have to write on our own, which cannot be there's no UI and everything. So
what is this window? What is this window we're looking at now? The connect instance. How do we get here?
which one correct is that?
No, this very particular windows you are navigating. That's good. That's a browser, right?
yep, he's connecting to the Airflow on his local AWS hosted.
Yeah. So
Oh,
Airflow, right?
okay.
Wherever I installed it, so I'm able to access on that machine, right? Okay. So this is a public IP.
We can install AWS too.
So AWS instance, like we can even do in the local on-premises or cloud. It's like a easy
No,
to
but
install.
I thought AWS is paid, isn't it?
Yeah, but I don't think it will cost you like $1 for if you bring down if you're not doing much, bringing down server after use.
Just for
Yeah,
learning.
this one I have to stop it, right? Okay, suppose if I'm not using this my EC2 instance, so
You have
I
to stop.
can make it stop, and then I can run it again whenever I want to use it. Okay, so only space like EBS volume is chargeable, right? But that is not much chargeable. Okay,
I need to
hardly any.
I need to get familiar with it. Maybe download it and
Yeah,
I
play
haven't
with
Yeah,
play.
so
I haven't used this
if you are
interface
able
at
to
all.
do in your Ubuntu, that is fine, right? If you are able to do in your Ubuntu.
Again,
No, but
play.
to be familiar with this interface, for example, if you're looking for job and you're not quite
Again,
you haven't seen
you
it
have
before.
you
That's
have to be a little cautious when you're using AWS. Any
Yeah,
other
suppose if
big,
you forgot, right? So
if
you
you
will
forgot,
be
that's it done. They
charging.
charge like anything.
if you forgot to do what?
Let's say
To
you are
stop the
running
EC2 instance.
some Hadoop cluster and you left running whole night, they send you a bill of maybe whatever it is. So
Oh, okay. The bill will continue running.
yeah, you have to make sure that you have to shut down your instance after use. That's it. You cannot leave the instance running. It's because how much you run, they will charge that time.
Interesting.
Yeah, 720 hours is free. Okay. Okay, 720 hours in a month is free, but beyond that, generally the 720 hours, nobody like how many total, like 750 hours they give. Okay, generally month 24 by multiply, you can do 30, right? So that is also 720 hours. But only one instance. But suppose you have a multiple instance and all multiple instances are running, right? So then you will be chargeable because this is for one instance like 750 hours, right? But
Right.
it's total 750 hours. So if one instance, two instance, right? So it will be chargeable. And
Well,
the
for
EVS volume is chargeable, right? Even if you are not running instance, but that charge is not that much, right? That charge is very
for
like
tutorial sake, I think one instance is good just to know how these things work.
one instance, even if it is running all the time, it's not problem, right? Because
Now you can
750 hours.
run any VMs on your local. It's the same thing. Only thing is they give you a virtual VM. That's all it is. So if you're planning, it's going to be the same. Everything will remain same what you're doing, but only the difference is you're working on your own laptop. Here you're working on Amazon virtual machine. That's it.
I don't understand. What I'm talking about the navigation, the interface to
Yeah, again, that is what if you want to, you can just create an account and you can navigate without having anything.
Hmm.
I'll do
No,
that.
you can just create an AWS account that doesn't cost you anything, and you can just navigate. You can see the options, and everything will be there.
Mm-hmm.
So it's not they don't charge for anything. If you install like any EMRs or EC2s or any databases, then you have to pay for the amount of usage and EBS.
What happened? My C2 today it was coming.
Use that other one.
Security Pro. Okay.
System like this is inbound rules.
Oh, okay, okay. I have not started the server or oh, then again same thing I forgot. Okay.
So you have to
So
start Airflow
server,
server.
right? Explicitly start the server. Okay. So
You start
okay,
the
so
instance and you have to start.
server and scheduler. Okay,
Yeah.
so I connect. So I have like two shell scripts. Okay. So cd airflow tag. So in this folder, actually I have tested like two shell scripts. I have a shell 1, shell 2. So what shell 1, shell 2 is doing? Shell 1 is creating a one file and shell 2 is copying the file. Okay. So when I show you that shell 1 and this shell 1 and shell 2, I'm calling a two different tasks in my two different tasks in my the DAG file. Okay. So this is my first shell script. Okay.
Mm.
And this is my second shell script. So first shell script, what I'm doing in my home Ubuntu. Okay. In my home folder, I'm just creating a one test.txt file. Okay. So this test.txt file is already created. I will delete it. Okay.
Okay.
And this file once created, I'm copying to the output directory. So this
Mm.
output directory is already there. I'm just
Mhm.
copying this.
Just copying the text file, the text file into the output directory there, which is there now.
Yeah. So those two tasks is there. One task is creating a test.txt file, a new test.txt file, and copy this test.txt, or I can use a move,
Just
right? So,
an empty file it creates.
what?
An empty file. It's a create a
No, it's content, right? Where is the empty? This is the content. Hello world.
Is whenever is running, it will create hello world into that test.txt. It's gonna keep
Yeah.
on up.
So
okay,
basically,
okay,
what
okay.
I'm doing here,
You
I'm
have
just creating a.
you have a shell file that does that has instructions to create the file. Okay.
So this simply one single command is there in this file. The purpose of this command is just creating a one test.txt file and put the hello world in this. And
Okay.
this cp command is copying the file from this directory where it is created to another output directory. It is just copying with the same name. Okay, with the name of test1. We are with the name of test1. So final output we will see this output folder. We should have cd. If I go to output, and here I will see test1.txt.
Test1 is there.
I'm removing this file. Okay, I'm removing this file. There is no file. Now outside here also I'm removing this test.txt for testing. Okay, test.txt. So I remove here this file also. Okay, so my shell1 first invoke, that will create a file. Shell2 will copy the file from the test1.txt to as a test1.txt. Okay, so this is, I'm just doing a simple to bash operator. Okay, and this one I define in my Python DAG file cd. So I will come out. This is a separate directory I created for this. So whatever path of your shell1 and shell2 I defined in my DAG file I defined. Okay, cd DAG cd airflow. So airflow is my root, and there cd DAX, and here I already copied this one. So I can, whenever I copied it, it will be showing in the UI. Okay, so first I start my airflow web server.
It's in, I think in
Airflow web server. Okay, so another,
now if you go and check, it will.
or I can use the ampersand in the last, so I can use in the background mode. Okay, airflow server and airflow scheduler. So I start these two. Okay, so my Python DAG file already was there. It is automatically exploded, right? Already there. Now I can check the UI. See, that was the mistake. Okay, so I was not started. So I got home here, and here I will see active because already it was placed. Okay, my DAG folder. If it is not placed in the DAG folder, okay, so there will be, all will be there, active will be 0. So when active will be coming, when you have the, so in the DAG folder, I see my shell DAG1. I told you the DAG ID. So this is a yesterday run. Okay, I run yesterday. So now I'm going to trigger this DAG. So first I need to do enable. It is by default coming disable. I need to make it enable here. And when I make it enable, I can trigger the DAG here, action, and trigger DAG. Okay.
So how, I mean, it's more like, it's similar to like a Jenkins pipeline.
Okay.
Okay.
It's similar to Jenkins pipeline. Now I can see, if I go to inside DAG, I can see all those tasks. I have to go inside the DAG. So there is one is a graph view, and one is the text view. This is the task view. So task view is, you can see how many tasks are there. Okay. So this is for 27. Okay, and graph view.
Again, that is a success failure. How many times it's success and fail?
Yeah. So this is the previous one. This my previous one are, because my script is not able to find. So my task were failed. I want to check log of any one. So I can click here and I can
Logs. Give the logs.
Okay, where is the log? So
if you go click on that and then logs after the graph.
Yeah, here I am able to see the log. So this one UTC time is run, and this is the first shell one. Right? Whatever command you are running, that command is run. Okay, and second one, this is the shell 2. This is the shell 2, right? So this is the shell script command I'm running, and this is the first task shell 1, which is running shell 1. So you can see the green means it is completed. If yellow means it is keep trying. Red means failed. Okay, right? Red means failed. Okay, so they are the different color coding is there. If you want to see in the in the in the graph mode, so you can see the one shell 1 and shell 2. So you can see here like shell 1 is completed and shell 2 is completed after that. Okay, so if I okay, so I can check the log. Okay, so I verify. I will verify on my directory because where it is.
Can we point those airflow logs to
So CD airflow. Okay, airflow DAX have to go because I created a separate directory. Airflow DAX here. See
are
test
those logs
one
writing in the
test.txt.
CloudWatch or those
Which log?
the
Log you
one
are getting right? Which log?
no airflow logs are those writing to CloudWatch or it's gonna be
No, this log is here itself, right? Okay, you are saying the file, right? So there is a
yeah.
log file is there. Yeah. This is the log file I show. Okay. So if you see here, this is the first, this is the test.txt is created. Okay, and when I go to the output folder, and here is the test1.txt. So when I say cat test1.txt, okay, so this is the hello world is written, right? Okay, so log folder is if you go to cd airflow, and here is the cd log. So it is a tool, right? Especially because this is not EC2 label service, right? If you are using MWAA, that is basically AWS services, okay? MWAA, okay? That is AWS Airflow service, okay? When you are using this service, MWAA service, managed service, okay? So then you will be getting the log in the CloudWatch, okay? So
Okay.
this is a managed service of AWS. So you don't need to create a cluster. Don't need to manage the entire Airflow will be managed by this, but this is a paid. Okay, this is a paid service. So this is this will manage, right? So this MWAA. So you can create your Airflow service. So this here MWAA. Okay, you can create an environment. So this is the complete steps are there, right? You will create, then upload the DAG file. So there is a DAG folder. It will give you like this is the taking. So this cluster which you installed it manually, right? It will create seconds. It will create very quickly. Just you have to give the name of the environment, everything, and you can tell the bucket, right, where you want to keep it your DAG. So DAG folder you are creating in the S3 bucket, right here. And logs also will be it generates CloudWatch logs. Like CloudWatch will be having the log. Okay, because there is a subgroup is there in the CloudWatch have the different services logs. Like you can see CloudWatch. So when you go to the CloudWatch monitor tab, okay, monitor, then you can see there is a group is created. So when you go to the log and log group, here, whenever Airflow managed service group is there, so it will be created here one group. If you are
Okay.
going to use a Lambda, so Lambda group will be created. So separate group will have your separate log. Okay, you can see and log insight like matrices you want to see, like you want to see uses, right? So different log matrices you can see here in the graph, okay, in the form of graph. So what I was telling you, cd log ln. So one log, this one is log is there. Whatever is always scheduled, always placed in the some log file because console one it may be deleted, right? Maybe it is coming only just when you are looking at the console, but you want to keep it. You want to have in the some file. So that is so this. So with the name of the DAG, it is creating one folder, and there is the log is created. So 27th log is this log, this run ID. So particular date and time it is scheduled one log run ID. Okay. So if you go to this cd to say see task one, task two. So same log you will see, nothing different. But here you have to go till the task, right? You have to go to till the task, then you can see inside that this is the attempt one log. So yeah, this is a file. Okay, this is a file. So you can see same log, right? Whatever log is appearing there on the console, same log is stored here in the this log folder. Okay, and so if you want to use another operator like any operator, so this will be so connection things. What is the connection here? So if you have like if you see in the UI, here is the security. You were asking, right? List of user role. So you have to create a various role, right? And various users. Okay. So how many users? Abhi right now only one user because you created only admin user. Okay. So I want to create other users so I can, it's like a user management. Generally, we have any website, right? We have CRM, right? We have any user management system, right? So similar way here, the users, roles, actions. Okay. So these are the like can edit, can read. So this kind of like it's like a permission, right? This user have the permission. So actions are there. Resources. What resources are there? So these are the different types of roles based like access are there. List of resources like list view, users, security, roles. Okay. So check. I think this is just a list is showing resources. Okay, no action. And permission. So this is a complete user management, right? Okay. So this is so it's a, like a complete database. It is maintaining. It is maintaining the database. Okay. So admin access we have. If I want to create a variable like some global variable I want to create, so I can create a global variable. So key value, right? I want to set some credential things, right? I don't want to make it hard coded in my DAG, so I can use the add variable. Okay. Configuration things. Okay. So connection is we can create any connection. So any connection, like we have to select the type of connection. Suppose I want to create an email, like for email service related, like post and login password post. So I can use the email, FTP or HTTP, right? Like suppose I want to say some file path, like particular, generally this one connection used for file sensor. File sensor, I told you, right? File sensor is when you want to search a file in a specific path, so you can define the file path connection. Okay. Suppose one DAG we have seen HTTP sensor, like we can have a HTTP. Okay. So SQLite means a SQL database connection you want to do. So you can create a SQLite or Postgres, right? SQLite connection. Okay. But you are not able to see here AWS services one, right? AWS, Azure or GCP. So there is a one pip install provider we have to use. So if you want to use some AWS services, like suppose I want to read a data from the S3 file bucket, S3 bucket. Okay. So I will use the AWS service provider in Airflow install. So we have to pip install we have to do. Okay. And we have to Amazon service provider. So you will see AWS services related operators will come. Okay. So by default, it is not there because it is on demand, right? It is on requirement. Okay. So when I say like I can have S3 operator. Actually, yesterday I was checking one example. So there is an example with the S3 operator. Like I want to read a file in the S3.
That can be done, right? You can write a Python script to connect S3 and then download it.
Yeah, but here is directly you will create bucket, right? like S3 command you can directly run, right, for creating a bucket and putting a
If
file.
you don't want to write any scripts, you just want to download a file directly
Yeah.
from S3
So
to
otherwise, like Python script, you have to write and you have to use access key secret key. Write any
Yeah.
Python code you want to connect to AWS, you need access key secret key. Okay. But connection is needed here also. You need to provide a connection like AWS connection. So AWS connection, there you will set the same thing like access key, secret key. But you are not creating any Python script separately and creating a Python code or creating a bucket. Here is just operator is doing everything for you, right? Operator is doing delete bucket, it is doing deleting a bucket. But there you have to write a code, right? Correct? The method, you have to write a method and you have to call the method, the API method you have to call. Okay, so you can, these many things you can do. Just you have to call, this is the one task only. This is a task only. So this task, when you write in your DAG file, so you will see this will come as a task and you can define the dependency of the task. File transform like S3 file transform operator, right? Source to target, destination you want to copy. So you can use the some. So here you can define, like depend on the operator, you have to provide the parameter. So task ID is must, right? That is a must, right? To define any operator, you have to define the task ID. But next parameters depending on the use case, right? So you are deleting the bucket, so you need a bucket and key, right? For particular file you want to delete in the bucket, so that key you need, right? Okay. So list Amazon S3 bucket. So list key function, list key, you have created a one task and you are telling the bucket, which bucket you want. Sensor, like you want to check. So S3 key sensor is there, like different types of sensors are there, right? Like file sensor, HTTP sensor, S3 key sensor. So sensor purpose is to checking that particular bucket has the particular key is there or not particular. Okay. So these many, like you can do with the AWS. This is related to S3 bucket. Suppose you want to do other thing is AWS to operator in Airflow. See, this is the list. Amazon AWS. Same like you can get the GCP operator or you can get the Azure operator. You have all the operators are there. So you can control these many services by using the Airflow, like EMR. Okay. So EMR again, Amazon EMR, EMR
Can
on
you open the
EKS.
RDS? What it does in RDS?
Which one?
RDS, Amazon RDS.
RDS.
Yeah.
RDS is a relation database service. Like
No,
you want
I know
to
it.
use
How that Airflow will be come into the picture for RDS.
RDS, you are saying, right? Suppose I want
Yeah.
to read write data from any SQL database by using the Airflow. So where is RDS? RDS.
From bottom sixth, fifth.
Yeah, this one. Okay. So this RDS, like first I need to pip install the module, create a database snapshot. Suppose I want to create
Okay, it's
like
more like an
manually you can
admin.
create, right? Through UI you can create, right? You can create through UI, right? Or you can create through the Python script or Java code. You can do these things, right? Okay. But I want to do the automation thing. So Airflow is the main purpose is the pipeline, right? You are
It's more like you can scale up, scale down,
hmm.
and you can take a backup. You can take a snapshot. All admin effort can be done automated.
Hmm.
Okay. Okay. Thank you.
Okay. So this one is our so this is operator type, connection type. So different connection type. Like first we need a Redshift connection. So connection type means we are creating a connection with the parameters. Okay. So this list is very huge, right? Like we can try some of the examples and the Airflow with the okay, GCP. Cloud data proc operator. So again, here is a Google Cloud operator. the Google Cloud operator, like BigQuery operator. So first service level will come. Service level 2, we have individual services having lot many different activities are there. So that operators are there. So there are the different like connection type operators, sensor operators. So which sensor operators are there? So Google Cloud task queue operator. Okay. So here, but there is a Airflow service is there in the GCP name Composer. So Composer is the same service which is Composer in GCP. This is the Airflow service, like same MWA in the AWS. So GCP is having the Cloud Composer. Cloud Composer is the same like a DAGs, and you are creating a task. Okay, so complete managed environment you can create. So you can create a manage as a manager. So you can do any like you can do. So
So
it
from
is
Airflow, we can trigger in a Lambda.
you can do Airflow, Lambda. See, Terraform we can do, right? Terraform is there, like Terraform is also infrastructure as code, right? There we can call any action. So see, these are the Lambda one is given, Lambda operator. So AWS Lambda invoke function operator. So any Lambda function you want to invoke through your pipeline, so you can invoke.
Okay.
Generally, you use the step function, right? Like suppose you want to invoke or you should use the Lambda has trigger. So Lambda has different triggers types are there. I say Lambda, if you see in the Lambda, so Lambda has, I will come to the Lambda, like when I teach AWS with Lambda. So different types of triggers I will tell. So when you create a new Lambda function, like I'm selecting here Python Lambda. So Python Lambda 3.9, my Python Lambda. Okay. And then I will be setting some role. So I have to create a one Lambda execution role we can create. Okay, right now I'm using just create a role with the basic permission. So this function is created. So we can define some trigger point. So how Lambda is a serverless computing service and how Lambda is invoked, right? Lambda can be invoked by different services, like S3 can invoke the Lambda. So there is the trigger. Once you get this one, so here you can write your custom code. Suppose your Lambda is using Boto3 API, it is reading a S3 file and writing the data to the DynamoDB table. So you have to write a Boto3 code. But how this Lambda will be invoked? Suppose I say when I will come to know my S3 file is arrived, so I can do add trigger here, and there is I will add S3. S3 is the trigger point. So I will tell this particular bucket, and here I can create some event. So this event will be whenever the file is copied and with the prefix, right? Prefix means I will say, okay, some folder is there in the particular bucket, and suffix is like I say, text file are coming or JPG file is coming. So I want to do some trigger, right? I want to trigger my Lambda. Okay, so what will happen when your Lambda function, this Lambda function which you created, so this Lambda function, when the file is arrived in S3, so whatever code you written here, it will be invoked. Okay, or if you want to run it manually, so you can write it code and you can test and you can deploy. Okay, you can run it here manually. But sometimes I want to keep it my trigger. So one trigger is S3, another trigger is like a API gateway. API gateway is a REST service endpoint. Suppose your REST service endpoint is giving some data, then it will trigger Lambda. So that is the one. DynamoDB can also trigger Lambda. MongoDB, this is a document DB, is a MongoDB. EventBridge is a one service. This is a this is a service which is taking the event from the source and giving it to the target. So EventBridge is there, Kinesis is there, Masses Queue is there, and SQS is also there. Simple queue service. So when you are writing any message in the queue, so these are the separate service which are triggering the Lambda. So if I define my SQS queue, if I go to my SQS, so SQS, I go to okay, SQS create queue. I want to create my own queue. I say my queue. Okay, my queue. So queue is basically FIFO, first in, first out. So I created some queue, and just after creating queue, I will sending the message this queue. So how to send message? So I can send message. So I say hello message. So when I say this hello message and send this message, my Lambda will be triggered. So this queue name, I have to give it here. This queue name, I have to give it in my Lambda. So I go to my Lambda and I define the trigger point is a SQS. So I go to Lambda, here I go to my Lambda, and here I will define the trigger. So trigger is like an automatic invocation, automatic invocation. So I will select here SQS. I will select SQS here, and I will give my queue name. My queue name is coming, my queue, right? And this queue, I will add it.
How they charge for these services? It's pay as use, or
this is free. This is SQS, Lambda. These are free. Glue. These are free service, right? There's no charge. Okay. So I have to create a separate role for that. Permission role I have to create for sending the message. Okay. So this way we can trigger Lambda, and once the Lambda we can write a Boto3 code. So there is Lambda.
what is it? Boto
using
3
some Python API.
Is it
Python API Boto3.
okay. What's the full form of Boto?
Python API to read and write file from S3. So I want to say like I want to read and write file from the S3, right? So I will be defining first my like Boto3 code, like import Boto3 S3 client object I will create, like using the Boto3 S3. Suppose I want to access my DynamoDB. So I will pass the DynamoDB so I can get the DynamoDB client. So I will access the service first, and I will define the bucket name, which bucket I want to. So in the Lambda handler function, so this Lambda handler function, I will write this code. So this code is basically reading the file content. So I'm using the read function. This is a Python code. I'm reading the file function. I want to copy a file. I will do like multiple file I want to read the bucket. So S3 file in S3 files. So it will read one by one each file, and it will print the content. So suppose you have a S3 bucket has 10 files, and I want to, I can, this is a Python, simple Python code. You want to check your file, you can put a condition while you are reading the file. See, this particular file you want to print, or all the file you want to print. So simply you are doing this, reading the content. Okay. So I will start the AWS. Okay. This week we have planned AWS. So we prepare for the AWS services. So what services I will be covering? AWS, Lambda, Glue. So mostly Lambda. Okay, Glue, EMR. Okay, EMR is a Elastic MapReduce. So that is basically your Hadoop Spark cluster service. Okay, and other than this service, like DynamoDB. So DynamoDB is a NoSQL database, JSON-based database, right? DynamoDB, and RDS. RDS is a relation database service. So this relation database service, we will be going through the how to create. Suppose I want to connect to MySQL, SQL Server, Oracle, or different databases, or they have provided on their database also. So we have to create a database instance first, server, and then we create a database type. Okay, so whichever database we can want to create. And last, and Redshift. Redshift is a SQL data warehouse service similar to Hive. Okay, so Redshift we are like it's a DB tables are there in the Redshift table. So it is using internally Postgres server. Okay, so it is using Postgres DB internally. Okay. So these are the serverless like Lambda, Glue, okay, EMR. These are the serverless, right? Okay, but this Redshift is a paid, chargeable. Redshift and EMR. Okay, these are the very, and RDS. So these three service very carefully we have to use: Redshift, RDS, and EMR. These are the three. Other services are fine. Any number of Glue you can create, like Glue job you can create, Lambda you can create. There is a limit, but it's like you can create maximum number you can create, right? It's nothing restricted. Okay. But Redshift and this one is like using the instance server, right? Like some database cluster you have to create, right? For Redshift or for RDS, right? So you have to create a cluster. So wherever it comes to the cluster, so you are using a very not using the micro instances. You will be using, okay, not T2 micro or mini or medium you are using. So we are going beyond that. Okay. So this all there. Okay. So we will next start. So tomorrow I'm planning like this airflow we will see, and some NiFi related flows, right? NiFi pipeline related. Okay. Have you installed this NiFi and airflow?
Airflow installed. My
You
file,
installed, right?
my
Okay.
file, let me just check. I'm not sure.
Okay. Okay. Okay.
All right.
See, NiFi is nothing much difficult. This is just downloading, and I told, but just
Right.
server name you change it, because whatever Airflow and NiFi both will be using default 8080. Okay, so that will be conflict. Okay, yeah. Okay, let's cover tomorrow this other part. Okay.
Thanks. Bye.
Thank you.
Bye.